So this summer, I saw a man get his balls caught in a lawn chair 12 times in one day on purpose while delivering a lecture at Brigham Young University. I know this because I was this man's intern. What follows is my journal from these dark and trying times. July 5th. I was a bit of a nerd as a kid. Mike is screwing up here. I spent most days deep in books, mind-altering, face-melting books called Gonzo. Championed by Hunter S. Thompson, it showed me a path I knew I needed to follow. I heard a rumor that there was a man known only as Spitty John that was considered one of the greatest Gonzo writers of the 21st century. People said he had even smuggled arms up from Haiti with Hunter Thompson. If I could find John, maybe I could finally get my foot in the door, get the training I need, or at the very least, the number of a few good dealers. I spoke to John tonight in a rather disjointed conversation on the phone. All right. Yeah, it sure does. He sounded muffled and confused, which I later found out was due to him being forcibly held in a confessional booth by his publisher as some kind of timeout. After a string of increasingly odd... Oh yeah, we have another mic. This one doesn't even work. But screw it, this is fine. A little bit. So, after our phone conversation and a string of increasingly odd requests, John finally agreed to take me under his wings. And so tomorrow, the adventures of the Gonzo intern finally begin. July 6th. My first meeting with John. I waited for him for 2 hours at the street corner he had specified. I found him sleeping under a bus bench a block down. Womp. Yeah, I'm Melissa myself all over the place here. I found John sleeping under a bus bench a block down. I introduced myself, but he seemed confused about who I was or why I was there. When I reminded him of the phone conversation the night before, his face just lit up and he rolled out from under the bench, shook my hand, and asked if I had brought the bottle of Ripple I had promised him. When I informed him that particular brand of fortified wine had been discontinued before he was even born, he feigned a heart attack and yelled, "You big dummy!" This, I would later learn, was another symptom of John's frequent Sanford & Son-based hallucinations. July 7th. John decided it would be best if we, in his words, dive jowls deep into the dead and sterile crevasse of Gonzo. We had an interview today with a minor functionary from the People's Republic of China, and he said I could ask all the questions. As we sat down and he handed me his notes, I realized all it was the title of porn movies he had imagined that were spoofing various Chinese human rights abuses. Our subject had security remove us somewhere between the anal invasion of Tibet and Tiananmen Bear. There was a disagreement on the wisdom of this line of questioning. John claimed it was due to my inability to develop a rapport with the subject, but despite his arguments, I think an interview starting with me uttering the phrase Falun Gong lies at the heart of the matter. July 8th. Began the day by meeting a strange man that John kept calling his accountant. When the man asked me if I wanted to throw down $100 on a brown silky with talons like a goddamn raptor in a cockfight, I decided John doesn't understand the difference between a bookie and an accountant. We rehashed the failures of yesterday for a good 3 hours before John stood up and yelled, "This is going too slow. You need a training montage." I explained that a montage is simply a technique in movies to show the passage of time, but my arguments went unheard. He removed his pants, began to spastically run in place while he shrieked and muttered. He ceased blinking and just became dead to the world. His accountant put on an LP playing Highway to the Danger Zone on infinite loop and gently pushed me out the door. I've begun to understand why there's never a sober character in any of those Fear and Loathing books. July 11th. Woke up tonight with John squatting over my bed holding a machete and a mystery bottle of brown liquor. For 5 minutes he spent telling me how proud he was that I won the ski tournament. I now believe halfway through his montage trip, the goal of it switched from becoming a journalist to win a skiing competition against an 80s movie era bully. He finally stopped speaking and began blinking again. I just stammered out, John, why are you here? And that's when the tirade began. Let's talk about fear. The majority of human endeavor is simply a byproduct of the fear man naturally possesses. While the fear is constant, the object of fear is a very reliable mark of civilization. Tribe, nation, religion, philosophy, corporation. The names change, but the awful gut-wrenching feeling remains. However, there is one fear that has always existed. And to be truly great, you must understand it. Fear of yourself. This is our past, and it will be our future. The terror of your own mind. Then he spat in my mouth. July 13th. Apparently, that wasn't saliva he spat in my mouth. No, it was a powerful cocktail of stimulants and hallucinogens that sent me on a 2-day nightmare journey where, as promised, I did learn the nightmare of my own mind. How John convinced the petting zoo to not press charges is just beyond me. Silver lining, I now know why he's called Spitty. For legal and frankly moral reasons, I am not going to commit to record what transpired these past 2 days and chalk it all up to a misguided attempt at a bonding experience. August 1st. The gloss of the gonzo lifestyle has begun to wear away. Last week, I found John eating a day-glow gelatinous blob that stank of sulfur and saffron. Immediately after ingestion, he began making a strange choking and barking noise. He leapt at me in attack before disappearing in a ventilation duct. Today, at around 5 a.m., he texted me an address that I assumed he needed a pickup from. What I walked in on was disturbing. I found him passed out in bed in a banana suit, making a noise that sounded like a whale choking on a sandwich. Before I could even attempt to wake him up, his eyes just flared open. He grabbed my shirt and hockey punched me right in the face. Oh, John. As I gasped for air on the ground, he got up and fetched a beer. It quickly became apparent that narcotic blob had taken its toll on his mind when, upon asking about his banana suit, all he could manage was to just mutter, "You're a banana suit." August 15th. My last day as John's intern. We went out to a bar where he got into a heated argument with an ex that kept calling him Glitter Dick. When the yelling died down and the woman left, John's eyes suddenly became clear. He pulled a Bowie knife out of his boot and placed it calmly on the table. He took a long drink. Now, Sam, tell me, why do you think this knife isn't 4 inches deep in your skull right now? We shared a long, rather frankly terrifying silence until he finally yelled, "Because of what I do! That's why! I'm doing this for all of you! You're better than that!" After that last sentence, the knife disappeared. He threw a wad of 20s at me and stumbled out of the bar. John had left me with this horrible self-doubt that I hope can be alleviated by committing the thoughts to paper. What if John's right? What if every time I try to create, every time I use these chemicals to raise me out of the lurching masses? Fuck. His last words that seemed to carry on the winds of time were, "I dare you to use me as a reference, motherfucker." Thank you.